with Russ. And I think when you look at a guy like LeBron who's having career, I truly believe this is a team that is only a few pieces away from being legitimate contenders in this conference. You still have, one of the top 5 best players in the world and LeBron James. You got arguably a top 15 player when healthy in Anthony Davis, and you got yourself a top 30 player in Russell Westbrook. So I think at this point you start looking for deals for Kendrick Nunn and Pat Bev packaged together. And you've released Matt Ryan. So I think the best thing right here is we try to find a way to maximize Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn. Now, how do you do that? That's a little hard, but maybe you can get a few you can get a massive trade down where it's just like, hey, we call up the Spurs, the Suns, and the Heat, and we're like, look, we know you guys want Jay Crowder and all that shit done. We just want Josh Richardson from the Spurs, maybe from the Heat. We'll take off your hands. I'm trying to think of somebody that they'd be willing to trade that's on a low contract money, but they wouldn't trade anyone on their team. But maybe you hit up the Suns and you're like, hey, you're not really playing Dario Saric, or you're not really playing, I think Dario Saric is the only way you could get there, but maybe you get yourself Dario Saric and Josh Richardson, and maybe if you call up the Jazz, you get yourself Rudy Gay too, and maybe you get yourself another guy like it's hard because you're trying, my idea is the best thing that they could do is try to get into a couple big trades and be like, hey, we'll take the fillers.
Yeah, I saw one with Laurie today, but Russ was in it.
No, I wouldn't. You have $18 million. If you package Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn, you have $18 million. So
Patrick Beverley, I don't know who needs to tell you this, but Patrick Beverley is not getting traded. I don't care.
It's being reported that it's not that they want to trade Pat Beverley, but if they can find a deal where they can get 2 to 3 players for a deal packaging Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn, they will do that trade in a heartbeat if it does not require picks, because in their mind, if they can get themselves Josh Richardson, Rudy Gay, and another guy, that's 3 guys just for 2 guys who, Pat Bev, all he's doing there at the current moment is playing defense and installing the culture. You can get other guys to hopefully play just as good defense, and you hope that the culture will carry over. It's just Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn are your best trade chips right now, not named Russell Westbrook.
I mean, I think Wenyen Gabriel's an enticing player. I think JTA is an enticing player. I don't think
their minimum
I don't care what the
their minimum contracts. It's all about salary filler. It's not even about them being fit or what it's about. It's just about when a trade gets done. If there was somebody it's like Jetty Osman earlier. Not that the organization doesn't like them. It's not that the players don't want them there. It's just that if somebody was deemed expendable and their salaries coincidentally are more prime or easier to move, then that'd be Pat Bev and Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah. I don't think 13 million is a lot, and you can get some decent pieces if you were to do Bev,
18,
Kendrick, and Damian Jones, maybe a non-expiring was a player option. That's about 20 million, right? So you could get somebody nice, or you could get a couple people that are nice. I don't know.
Buddy Hield and Miles Turner won't be traded anymore. They've announced.
Yeah, I've been preaching that for a while now. Doesn't make sense if they're winning. Miles Turner's issue is just health. It's not lack of skill. But with the Lakers, I think I think you bring up an interesting point, and I think that the fact that realistically they should probably be on a 4-game win streak if Nembhard didn't make that shot. They're 8-12. I think what they're going to do here is on this road trip where you're playing some heavy hitters, you got Milwaukee tomorrow, Washington, Cleveland, Toronto, and Philly. If they were to go 1-4 or 0-5, God forbid, or even 2-3, then I think I might be a little bit more willing to discuss this with you further. But for right now, I like what they got.
Don't get me wrong. I love Pat Bev, who they got for Taylor Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. But Bev's missed the last few games due to the suspension for shoving DeAndre Ayton.
Awesome.
And I love Pat Bev as a Timberwolves fan. I've always loved Pat Bev, even though Pat Bev is arguably the most hated man on the internet. And if he's on your team, you love him like you should. But if he's not on your team, you despise him. And the reason why I've said all this Pat Bev rhetoric is I don't know if Lakers fans like him. He's been horrendous shooting the ball. And let's be honest, his defense has been mediocre for his standards. And his intakes don't add anything positive to it. He's averaging almost as many rebounds as points, 3.9 rebounds to 4.1 points. And it's not exactly, it's just
because he's technically their best 3-point shooter on their team. Bev's another one of those guys. I don't really care what your stats are, but I get what you're saying. They're like significantly down. He's never been an efficient shooter.
He's just having the roughest start to his season. And if he doesn't turn it around, they're going to have to move on.
One thing I do like about him is his lack of turnovers. I like the culture he brings.
He doesn't have the ball on him.
But Russ is doing his thing right now. We'll see, man. I think this road trip's big for him. They freed up that spot. So I'm thinking to myself, like, rather than like JTA seems like a big swing and a miss. I'm enticed and interested in guys like Jeremy Lamb and Dwight Howard. Like those guys interest me.
Well, Dwight Howard's enjoying Taiwan,
but can't they just say, hey,
probably
like you're playing in Taiwan, want to play for the Lakers?
Probably.
And he'll probably be like, yeah.
I think Jeremy Lamb would be great. It's just that like the Lakers need someone who's less of a leader and just more of a guy who knows his role and fits that said role. And
then I need Russ and AD to pick up their slack there under the bargain, which they're trending in the right direction.
They're trending in the right direction. That's why we're talking about everybody outside of those guys.
And Austin Reeves is probably the most undervalued, under-recognized player in the entire NBA.
Why do you think we haven't mentioned him at least in the trade talks? I would never ever.
Yeah, you can't trade Reeves, and like I saw Skip Bayless going at LeBron yesterday for taking all these threes. He went like 6 of 8 from downtown, and he's averaging the most amount of threes. LeBron, you can't do that. You're shooting less than 30%. Well, Skip, the thing is, LeBron James is 30, right? LeBron James cannot be driving to the rim every single possession because he has to play the whole season to get ready for the playoffs. So he can't do what he used to do. He's 39 years old. So
I agree.